For me personally, I think we're all capable of this. A lot of this information has just been suppressed and conditioned out of most human beings. We've been so conditioned and programmed to trust outer authority, like our governments, our schools, our teachers, the media, this and that. But it's all about trusting ourselves first. And I feel like that's where we're really stepping into. We are evolving at a consciousness level for humanity. If they just practice, work with somebody who can hold that space and guide them into tapping into their unique gifts, because everyone's different. Everyone accesses their spiritual gifts, their clairvoyancy differently. I think people would be amazed.
Welcome to another episode of Life Coach Code. Today I have something truly extraordinary to share with you. This November, from 11th to 14th of November, we are organizing a summit called the Superhuman Summit. We are diving deep into each of the four fundamental pillars of a human being: the spirit, the mind, the body, and the heart. And we're going to help you uncover the hidden superpower in each of them. Each day is focused on one of these four fundamental pillars, and on each day there are coaches that will talk about many different subjects that are all related and giving you a glimpse and a hint of what this hidden superpower really is. There will be over 25 coaches and experts from all around the world. There will be workshops, panels, a lot of networking opportunities with like-minded individuals, and a lot of free gifts that each of the coaches will give to you. All of this comes to you. All of this value comes to you with a price that's ridiculous. That's less than what you would pay for one meal. It's less than $40. So all of these 25 coaches, workshops, panels, having the opportunity to meet all of them and work one-on-one with them and getting free gifts from them, all of that value is yours for less than $40. 4 days of transformation, uncovering your hidden superpowers in each of the four pillars and becoming a superhuman. That's yours for less than $40. If you want to get your 4-day pass, go to the link in the description or go to lifecoachcode.com/superhuman summit and you can get it there. Again, this is an incredible opportunity for you. We are so excited that we are putting this together. This is actually, when you think about how much work is put in this, it's insane to think that we actually managed to pull this off. So if you want to grab this opportunity, less than $40, your life transformation, go to the link in the description or go to lifecoachcode.com/superhuman summit and get your 4-day pass from there. Let's see you inside. Today I have a special guest. She is actually a part of the summit. She's going to talk on the summit. I'm going to introduce her right now so you get to know who she is, and then we're going to jump right into the questions with her. So Lauren is a clairvoyant life coach and transformation specialist dedicated to helping high-powered individuals find inner peace, self-love, and the ability to manifest their dreams. With a unique blend of spiritual and scientific modalities, Lauren guides clients to shed outdated programming, align with their values, and create a life filled with love and success. Her one-on-one coaching leads to profound and lasting transformations, empowering clients to speak their dreams into existence and experience a new reality. Lauren, it's an honor to have you on this podcast. Welcome.
Thank you so much. So honored to be here.
Okay, so let's jump right into the questions, into the juicy ones. And this can be maybe simple for people who know it, but I really want to just start with the definition of the important keywords. So what is clairvoyance?
That's a really great question. So clairvoyance is like an intuitive ability. It's somebody who is highly sensitive, tapped into their intuition, their sensitivity, and can experience whether it's tapping into somebody's feelings, understanding somebody on a very spiritual level, or receiving it could be messages, it could be visions, it could be this inner knowing about something without the actual information in front of them. And then also maybe knowing something about what might happen in the future or something that has happened to somebody in the past. I mean, it's very personal for each person.
That's so fascinating. And is it something that you learn how to do it? Is it something that anybody can learn, or is it something you're just born with?
So yeah, that's another really good question. I've had clients who really want to tap into this and have maybe like a blockage or a limiting belief that they're just not clairvoyant or intuitive or spiritual. And for me personally, I think we're all capable of this. We're all, in my opinion, sensitive beings that, we're spiritual beings having a human experience. A lot of this information has just been suppressed and conditioned out of most human beings. So I believe that it is definitely accessible to anybody if they don't already kind of intuitively know how to tap into it. If they just practice, work with somebody who can hold that space and guide them into tapping into their unique gifts, because everyone's different. Everyone accesses their spiritual gifts, their clairvoyancy differently. I think people would be amazed at what unfolds for them as they trust themselves, because it is all about self-trust. We've been so conditioned and programmed to trust outer authority, like our governments, our schools, our teachers, the media, this and that. But it's all about trusting ourselves first. And I feel like that's where we're really stepping into as we are evolving at a consciousness level for humanity, is really coming back into what's my intuition, what's my inner knowing, what's my inner authority telling me, and then having these clairvoyant gifts continue to expand. It's so fascinating. I love watching this unfold with my clients. And personally, I didn't really think that I was spiritual before my spiritual awakening and had these certain abilities, because trauma and certain things can really condition us out of it. But then once I really started walking this path and healing and getting more in touch with my clairvoyancy again, it was profound. And I'm still, unfolding and unlocking a lot of this stuff too.
This is super fascinating, and there's so many things to unpack here. So you said, and I completely agree with you, the trust in ourselves has been in a way hijacked or stolen from us, or maybe it's just how we develop to trust other authorities outside of us. Maybe that's how society developed and passively made us like this, to trust other things, people, entities, rather than ourselves and our bodies and our intuition. And the more we put our trust outside, the less we're capable of really listening and understanding what our bodies, our spirits, hearts, minds are actually telling us. It's just a mess. If you sit with yourself and you try to listen to yourself, you will clearly listen to what each of these parts is saying. But if you don't have this awareness, it's just chaos. And what you are trying to do, every moment you want to escape from yourself in different distractions, social media, watching something on Netflix, playing a video game, even doing alcohol and drugs, or however you're trying to escape reality, just escape yourself, and listening to these maybe signals that are coming from you. And you're putting your trust on authority. So I completely agree. First step is to regain your own authority over your own self, to establish yourself as the authority, as the CEO of you. And that's the first step, I guess, in everything. We were speaking with one of the coaches that will talk on the summit too, Tammy Goen. She is a highly sensitive personality, and she was speaking about the science behind it, and we touched a little bit on what she calls the field. And you said that being a clairvoyant means that you can tap into something and just have this knowing of what happened in the past of somebody or what will happen in the future. So the field, basically the concept of the field, is that past, present, future, everything exists all at once. And this is just a manifestation, the 3D reality that some call it simulation. It's coming out from this field is manifesting, and we are perceiving it in 3D, then in 4D as time, but it's already exists. With every choice, you are shifting the possibilities that can exist within this field. And we also touched that in quantum physics, we know about quantum entanglement, when one particle is entangled with another, and no matter how far in distance it is, it reacts instantaneously. When something happens to the one particle, the other reacts instantaneously, even faster than light. So it's just instant reaction. So it means that they somehow are connected beyond space and time. So I want to hear your thoughts on this specifically in the context of clairvoyance and how it basically works.
So I'm going to reference human design to anybody who knows human design or is new to human design. It's a great tool to understand yourself at an auric level, at an energetic level, and your gifts. So not only are you tapping into your, they call it channels, so that those are your natural born gifts, but also your aura type, how you manifest, how you get to be in your theme, which is either satisfaction, peace, success, or disappointment, depending on the type you are in human design. And so some people, like, for example, I'm a mental projector in human design. So depending on the defined centers and the channels, you would look at it and you'd see, okay, she's very clairvoyant. So tapping into that, it's so interesting because I feel like when we detach from, our attachments and thinking that we're separate and we're here and we're having this journey, and, the ego will do what the ego does. And we really see it from a detached perspective of oneness, of connection, of like what you were saying before, of this is really kind of like a simulation. This is kind of like a dream we're in right now, experiencing in the 3D. But as we go into higher consciousness and higher vibrations, we see that we're all connected. But as we're here in this human body, we all have different gifts. We all experience the universe very, very differently. So with clairvoyancy, it might be different for each person. Like for me, what comes through me, the universe really just shows me what I'm meant to see. And if I try to force it, it's something just doesn't really click, and I'll go into confusion. It really is, for me personally, through my design, tapping in for the highest good so I can share this for somebody else. If I'm trying to do it for some selfish reason because my ego is telling me, oh, you need to be in control and you need to see what's going to happen in the future and this and that, that's just going to dig me into a really big hole. But for somebody who's really wanting to tap into their clairvoyant gifts and understanding it, it'd be, I'd suggest looking at your human design, maybe hiring like a human design reader to guide you who, is really familiar with the system. Or I learned about my soul gifts first from an Akashic reader. So my journey is a blend of different modalities through the last 10 years of just uncovering more and more of my true self, which I was very surprised at first because I was so conditioned to be somebody that I wasn't and try to fit into society and keep up in this energy world. In human design, 70% of the population is generators or manifesting generators. So that's the energy type. They're here for the life force, to birth the babies, to run businesses. But then 30% of the other population, they're non-energy types. And so they're trying to keep up. They're trying to keep up in this energetic world and be something that they actually weren't designed to be. And this shows up in like most people's charts and people that I talk to of like, the conditioning and the programming and stuff. But as we continue to go, further into our evolution for awakening, I feel like, humanity, we're really at the brink of something big. It's like we have this beautiful gift of really knowing who we are, like having so many different modalities, so many different teachers, saying like how to biohack like your DNA, heal on like a generational level, like heal past lives, know who you are at soul level, uncover your human design, use your energetics so you're in your theme and you're healthy and you're abundant and you're living as your type, compared to being frustrated, bitter, sick, tired in the hospital, and then surrendering your inner authority to, you know, these people, doctors, this person or that person who has like a title, but maybe they just don't know what you actually need. And that's why it's so important to know yourself, know who you are at an energetic level, a spiritual level, a sensitive level, or even if you're not sensitive, it's just knowing who you are so you can take the correct steps forward for yourself. And I'm not saying that doctors and this and that aren't beneficial, because I know they are. It's just so personal for each person.
That's super fascinating. Know thyself, right? It's the
Mm-hmm.
oldest wisdom. It's probably the one and only wisdom that we should start following right now, especially in today's world. As this is exactly what you said is the reason why we are organizing the Superhuman Summit, and we are organizing in a way that is separated the spirit, the mind, the body, and the heart, so we can get all the coaches that are about the spirit and they can tackle it from different angles, like yourself. You can tackle it from the angle of finding your soul's gifts, then how to reshape the belief system, how to raise your consciousness. Then we go to the mind and we will teach people how to use actually their supercomputer that's inside their mind, inside their head, how to increase their confidence, how to become basically smarter and more you are more intelligent than any AI that can ever be created. You are the person, you are the carrying the tool that actually invented artificial intelligence, so you are by default higher. I don't like this narrative that they're trying to push today's world, that we will just get overstepped by something else, by artificial intelligence. Maybe in the calculation part of the mind, but not in every aspect that you carry within yourself. You are so much more than that. Then we go to the body, and as you say, we teach people how to heal themselves from a core level, how to make their gut health and gut brain connection healthier, how to balance their hormones, how to raise this vitality that the body carries and is offering to you every day. And then we go to the heart and helping people understand this super mechanism that's always pointing you to the right direction. So it's so many gifts that we have that we are not using, and then as you say, we go and we are giving this power to someone else, to another authority that we trust, instead of trusting ourselves, because we don't know how to unleash these superpowers. We don't know how to embrace them and how to use them. And I love what you said about when you're saying that the universe is telling you. Do you mean that this grand intelligence that we are all part of is speaking through you in a way? Is nudging you like an intuition?
Yes. So the so far with my journey, and I believe is part of my purpose, is to remember that I am the universe, and remind and meet people who want that belief again, align to that belief again, or know that. And it's never gone away. We are creations of the universe. Everything that we ever needed is inside of ourselves, but through generational trauma, epigenetics, our own personal trauma, society, everywhere you go, you're being conditioned and programmed and told that you are this, you are that, you are lesser, scarcity, fear, this, that, da 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 da. I mean, we're constantly getting bombarded to shrink ourselves and give our power away to something that is going to heal us, to fix us, If I just pay for this or that, or get this procedure, or if I buy this car, or if I hook up with this person, or, you know, have this accomplishment, like I will feel whole and complete and better about myself. But that never makes us happy, because that's all the ego. And what you think you want, you'd be really surprised is what your soul actually wants you to experience. And for me, I think most people want to be reminded of who they are and how amazing they are, but they have to have that inner knowing within, and that recognition of, I am the universe, I am love, I'm already whole and complete. And then doing relationships from that point of view, and then doing business from that point of view, and then being in service from that point of view. Because anything else, yeah, you could get good results, but there's still this feeling inside that it's never going to be satiated.
I call that feeling, I call this phenomenon basically the hole. That we basically live like we have hole within us that we are trying to fill. But as much as we are trying to fill the hole just gets bigger, because we are reinforcing this idea that we are missing something, that we need something else so we can be complete. Because from very young age, we are conditioned to think that we are not in the right place, right? We need to study so we can finish school. Why? So we can find a good job. Why? So we can make money. Why? So we can raise a family. Why? So, and then you are old and you die. And on this process, there is always something missing, and we are comparing all the time with someone else. Oh, we have 100 likes, they have 150 likes, they have 1,000 likes, we need 1,000, then we reach 1,000. Oh, but they have million likes. We reach million. Oh, but they have 10 million likes. So it's always something else. There's always someone that's better than you. There's always someone else to compare with, someone more beautiful, more intelligent. There's always someone that will be better, something that you will miss if you approach life with this mindset. And I call this the whole. And the only way to find a solution for this is to realize that at this exact very moment, wherever you are, whoever you are in the most perfect place, in the most perfect moment that ever was and that ever will be for you, and that you are perfect and enough. And if you really understand this, and if you grasp this, if you accept this as the truth from that moment, from that place, then you can grow, and then you can choose your direction, not from a place of luck, but from a place of, it's like a release, like, so I'm here, like life is the reward. I don't need anything, I'm complete. So what is fun? What do I love to do? And from that place you can do. And I know a lot of people think like, if I feel like this, I will not want to do anything. But it's the opposite. When you feel like this, you will really love to do the right things.
Yeah, definitely.
So I wanna continue, and I know I went on a little rant, but I really just love this conversation. And I wanna ask you, as somebody that mentioned human design, uh, how do you approach the whole dilemma of how you find your soul's gifts? Is it a human design that helped you, or is there some other techniques that you can share with us?
Yeah, so the first method that I found from my soul gifts was actually hiring a coach that was an Akashic record reader. So she
And
tapped into my
sorry
Akashic.
to interrupt you, but for the viewers, for somebody that doesn't know what is an Akashic record, can you please
Mhm.
briefly explain?
Yeah, thank you. That's a really good question. So the Akashic records is an energetic record keeper of all of your past lives, your present life, and your soul information. And so, an Akashic record reader is somebody who's in alignment and certified to tap into the Akashic records and get this information. So they can channel your past lives, help you clear blockages from your past lives, and then give you the information of what your soul gifts are. At least that's my experience from the Akashic record reader that I hired, and then where I was certified as an Akashic record reader. So when I hired my Akashic record reader and coach, and she told me my soul gifts, I I didn't believe her at first. I was like, wait, no, that's not me. But I was so out of alignment. And then she started asking me questions. And she's like, well, how do you feel when, because I have divine order, it's all about peace and harmony and balance and having things like organized. And my life was chaos and a mess. So when she, because I thought I was like, no, I'm more of like a caregiver, I'm really into like loving people and taking care of them. And it dawned on me, I was like, oh, that's actually how I was conditioned and programmed and thought that that's how I was going to receive love. And she asked me, she's like, well, how do you feel when, your space is really organized and things are like pretty? And I was like, oh, I just feel so great. Like, I feel like I can relax. And she's like, yeah, that's key. And I was like, well, isn't that everybody? And that's usually people's response for when they're in alignment in their soul gifts is like, well, isn't that everybody? Isn't that easy for everybody? And it's like, no, because some people, if they have a different soul gift or different soul gifts, they could be in, a lot of clutter and it doesn't phase them, but they're more directed in, let's say, like somebody who is really into wisdom and they just have this knowing and this wisdom or power and they're just so into manifestation and freedom, and it's different for each soul gift and group. But then, so as I was integrating my soul gifts, really detaching from the chaos and the clutter of my life, I came along to human design in 2018. And Gene Keys is sort of a branch off of human design. It's a more spiritualized expression of human design, which really shows us our gifts as well. And it was just so fascinating to compare the two, where the gene keys, I just saw harmony all over my chart. And I was like, that's so in alignment with what my Akashic record reader and coach told me about my soul gifts. And so we can really look at these two, or you could just ask anybody and say, you know, I'm really wanting to tap into my gifts and what I'm natural at. Like, what do you see in me that I'm really good at that just comes naturally and easy to me? If you want to start there. And
That's
then if you want to go hire somebody, yeah.
so interesting. And I hear you say that like there is the ego part of us that is conditioned over time, and we learn certain things that we think are us, but it's actually the story we tell about ourselves. And the real truth is somewhere deeper, right? So in your mind, I want to understand it. The ego is the concept of us that we have, the idea of ourselves. So is there, I know you're going to say yes, but for the sake of this conversation, is there something deeper than the ego? I guess it's the soul, right?
So there is, if you want to look at it from like a psychological perspective, we have the ego, the id, and then man, it's been a really long time since I studied psychology, but then there's something else.
I guess it's
So
id, and superego, according to.
okay, yeah, that's what I thought, but I wasn't too sure. So from my perspective and what I've noticed, the ego is the separation. It's what keeps us safe. It's the me, like you said, and it's very much from just my perspective. It's very childlike in a way. But as we're maturing and we're expanding in our consciousness and we're reassuring our ego that everything's okay, you have everything that you could need, want, and more in this moment, and you detach from just your perspective, your wants, your needs, then you start to see things from a higher perspective. And then that's when I feel like you connect more with your soul. For the longest time, I thought I wanted to have a really expansive business and just be independent from that place of like, okay, I can do everything on my own. You know, I'm very independent. I work really, really fast, but as a projector, I really work well with the other. And I don't have a defined sacral, so I need to take naps and rest. And I just need support. But as somebody who was conditioned to be hyper independent and hyper vigilant, that was very hard for my ego to accept. And the more that I listened to my soul and not my soul really surprised me. It told me what I really wanted was I really just want to be with my family. I really want to see what's possible and how we can heal together. I don't really care about, you know, the like, yes, resources and money. It's so helpful to have that safety and comfortability in life. And I don't want to say it's not, because it is like a really needed resource that everybody is worthy and deserving of. But my soul didn't want that to be the only focus. It wanted to be a place to have fun with the people that I love the most, to be of service, to give just because I can give and I'm not expecting anything in return. And the ego, it's, you know, as we're healing and expanding and shifting our consciousness, it might fight with these new ways of thinking and these new ways of relating. But everything is habitual. So the more that you do, and you kind of just, and I'm not talking from a place of like self abandonment or self sacrifice, because if there is a distinction, but when you come from your soul, it just makes life way more easier. And the ego isn't constantly trying to fill something, like you were saying, like that hole.
From what I'm hearing, I'm going to try to reconstruct it in the simplest ways. We are born with a soul. We have a soul. As we grow up, we develop an ego. It's ideas from our parents, beliefs from our parents, ideas from our crew, from friends, teachers, whatever we are watching on media. We are making certain assumptions about the world and certain ideas. And then we start identifying with these ideas. We start, according to these ideas, we start to give ourselves goals that we would like to have, because we believe that these goals will give us what the society is telling us that will make us enough. This is the ego. The soul is always beneath that, and it's what you were born with, and it carries certain gifts from when you were born. In order for these gifts to show up, to come to the surface, you need to, in a way, reassure the ego that it's fine, first of all, that it has everything it ever wanted, and to not trust basically the narrative of that is pushed in society, that you are not enough, you need this cream to look more beautiful, you need this to be more enough, you need money to be happy. So it's not that necessarily that money are bad. It's just that you don't really need them to be who you are. And in that place, you can then go and make money if you want to make as much as you want to make. But it's not that necessity that you really need them to be who you are. You need money to buy food to survive, but you don't need them to be you. So that's the crucial distinction, I guess, that you also wanted to make, that it's not self-sacrifice, that I will not do anything now, that I will just follow I want to be only with my family and give, and I will just do that. That it's just your soul is telling you what you want, but there are also other parts of you that you need to come in alignment with and find the solution that works for all of you without listening to the lie that societies keep reinforcing, that you need something to be you. Am I correct?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, so Lauren, can you give us an example? I'm really curious, by the way, of when your clairvoyance worked and what happened. Like how, for example, maybe you worked with a client and you knew something about them and then you told them, they were surprised. Or how did you discover that you have this? How did you work maybe, and how did you discover? Maybe you can share some interesting situations that happened.
So this happens to me all the time. I just know things about people and it's so random and it just comes to me. So being a projector in human design, we get to be wait to be recognized and wait for the invitation. So if somebody's recognizing me, if they're inviting me into their aura field in space, then all these things start coming into me. And I just know certain things. Sometimes even when I like touch somebody, I'll get like a message. And I mean, I can't really like explain it, but when I work with my clients, it's just so interesting because I always reflect back to them like, does this ring true? Like, let's follow your inner authority first because I get so much stuff that just comes out of me because that's how I'm designed. I'm really made for the other and can guide in that way. But I always want to make sure that it's true for them because if something feels off, if it's not ringing true, then that's not true for them. But that usually doesn't happen. Everybody usually is like, oh, yeah, that's spot on for sure. So, for example, it's like I channel and then I don't really remember what I say. It's just because it's really for the other person. I'm not supposed to really remember. And so I can bring up like, hey, did you have a grandma like this? Or, is this how you feel? And this is what I'm tapping into. And it's just like, I'm kind of guessing as to what's just being brought in my field of like feeling, of visions, of words that I can see or hear. Um, and then seeing what would be a really good path for them to choose in the future. But, everybody has free will. So it really has to come down to if that's what they want to try on and just holding their hand in the process because sometimes the ego, like we were talking about, is really resistant. And so it will be scared of the unknown. And so sometimes people will trip and fall and go in this direction and that direction first, and that's okay. It's just being patient and holding that space. But there was one example that when I moved back to California, because I was in Austin for almost 5 years, I had this vision of this backyard of where I was living. And I'm like, okay, I have this vision. Like, we need to redo it. We need to make it a little bit more like Zen because it was just like a pile of dirt. And I had like this clear vision. And then I'm like, okay, I know who I need to like reach out to help us so we can create this. And then I'm like, okay, and now we're going to do events. Like, I don't know where it came from. That was not really my intention when I moved back. I do more business online, but I just had this vision. And then so we manifested that like people would come over and we had like these moon circles and we would do like these sound baths and it was awesome. And it really was from that vision and intention that I was holding. And I felt like the universe really was showing me that. So it can show up like that. It can show up through somebody else when they're inviting me into their field. Sometimes I'll have like intuitive dreams and I'll just get like a knowing, or somebody will visit me and tell me certain things. And that's really tricky to navigate in reality because I'm not sure if somebody really wants me to know that. And so I just wait until if they do tell me and share.
That's what I want to touch on. How do you deal with it? For example, some vision happens to you, or you dream a dream, and you are right now, I assume you basically expect things to happen. But at first, how you deal with this when some information comes to you, and maybe it's unpleasant, maybe you don't want this to happen, but you have the vision, you have the information. How do you deal with this? Because I know I had certain experiences like this when I dream something and then I see it happen. It's like I get a message in the dream and then I'm seeing it happen in my life, and I'm like, one part of me is like, yeah, it's obvious, but another part of me is like, how? Like, how did I know about this? Like, let's sit logically, find the reason. How did I know about this? Like, let's find the solution. And I cannot find it. And I was struggling with this so many times. So I want to ask you, how do you deal with this? Is there like some part of you that's really curious to find out just how this works at the core, or you're just allowing yourself and just not caring basically? and allowing this information to just come through you.
So are you ready for your mind to be blown right now?
Yeah.
In human design, we actually have a type when we're dreaming. And I just finished a course in being certified on the dream realm and human design. And most dream analysis and psychoanalysis and the dreams and the symbol, it's false coming from human design perspective. So in human design, when we're sleeping, we are being conditioned. We're locked into the matrix in our dreams. So not only when we're awake, we're being conditioned and having to deal with that, but the dreaming is even deeper. Because think about it, when you wake up, if you're feeling stressed, if you're feeling anxious, well, you were just sleeping and then you were being conditioned in your sleep. But if you wake up and you're energized and you're ready to go, then you got the correct dream message you needed to or experience. But most people will wake up, will start spinning out of control because they had a dream and they get locked in that program of like, oh my God, I dreamt about my ex again. What does this mean? And we were together, or I dreamt that this was going to happen. And so you just have to look at the feeling. Am I going into stress? Am I overanalyzing? That's usually a conditioning dream. But then when you have like a clairvoyant dream or a healing dream or like a powerful message in your dream, and then you see it in reality, that's that's the power of the dreaming and the dream realms and the correct way to dream. And then you start dreaming with other people and share your dreams with other people. And so so not only are you manifesting from your dreams, you're co-creating with other people as you're dreaming. That is the power of actually tapping into the way to dream, deconditioning from the dreams. Because if you notice, like I said, if you're having like a repeating pattern in your dream and you're just holding on to that and you're like going into psychoanalysis and you're wanting to, understand it from like a logical perspective of like, okay, I dreamt about this bird, so I'm going to look up the symbolism of a bird. And then this happened. So that's still gripping you in. What you want to do is you want to experience your dream, share it with somebody else, like not get too much into the mind about it, and then see if it shows you something as you're in your waking. And if not, then it just was probably a regular ordinary dream. But if if you talk to somebody and they tell you, oh well, I had a dream about this, or guess what, like this happened in my reality today. So not only like can we manifest in the reality, like when we tap into the dreams in this way, I mean, the type of dreams that I've had since taking this course and deconditioning and being certified as now a dream reader in human design, I mean, I'm still figuring it out with certain dreams because I'm like, okay, I don't really know about this. I'm a little bit confused right now, but I'm not letting it like dictate a lot of like my mental capacity and thinking. Like I'm really just surrendering to, okay, like what are my thoughts about this? Because if I'm going into judgment, if I'm getting attached, maybe that's some conditioning there. Maybe that's some inner work I need to do. But if there was one dream I had, my dad has transitioned almost 5 years now, and he came to me in my dream. And it was so simple. Like we were sitting on a couch together and I couldn't see him, but I looked at a picture and I saw the reflection, and it looked like he would be his age right now. And he looked healthy and he was sitting right next to me. And I saw his reflection and he just was looking at me with like eyes of love. And I was like, oh my God. And I saw him and I was waving at him through the reflection, and I put my head on his chest and I got this message. It was so powerful. And then the dream was over. And I woke up, I had so much energy. I was so grateful for that dream. And I don't think I would have ever been able to have that experience if I didn't know all the conditioning in the dreams, dealt with all the like release of that programming of stressful dreams of, this person from my past or whatever, and just the capabilities of what we can experience and the messages that are ready for us.
What are your thoughts on lucid dreaming and maybe astral projection?
So yeah, that's definitely possible in dreaming. Like people who lucid dream, astral projections, getting mediumship dreams, power dreams. I know there's some like gurus out there that can create so much energy within themselves that they have two energy bodies. And that one is dreaming, and then one is walking around in reality.
Oh, that's so fascinating. I was always fascinated by lucid dreaming, and I know there are certain techniques you can try. I was successful a few times, and it's amazing. Basically, you are waking up. What lucid dreaming is you are becoming aware in the dream that you are dreaming, and you can shape the dream at your will.
Mm-hmm.
How much of that is true for waking life? Maybe when we awaken in waking life that we are actually the creators, how much of that is true that we can actually manifest our whatever we want into this reality, or maybe we are always manifesting, just we are not
Mm-hmm.
knowing, just like dreaming? What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think that's a really good, comment and observation. And that's something that I'm still experimenting with of like, you know, do I have a block of something that is possible coming through? Because everything is from our beliefs in the mind. And when we master our beliefs in the mind, I mean, anything is possible depending on how you are uniquely designed to manifest. That's the thing is, I mean, law of attraction is great. Like certain things on how to manifest is great. But if it's not working for somebody, it's usually because of how they're designed. It's not like they're doing something wrong. But what happens is the mind will, if they don't know, if somebody doesn't know that, then they go into judgment of, oh, I'm doing this wrong or that wrong, or I need to do this more. And it's just really using your gifts, how you're designed to manifest, and then also uncover like any self-limiting beliefs, blockages, trauma, um, unfolding that and seeing what you truly want to manifest. How easy can you make it? Because what we want to manifest and what our soul is calling for us, what that wants to manifest us too. But what I've noticed is with certain programming conditioning, something inside the subconscious is okay, well, things are hard. So then we kind of get in this pattern of like, okay, well, it has to be hard. But it's like surrendering that belief. And it's like, what if it was easy? What would you do?
Hmm.
And listening to that inner knowing. And yeah, like time, time, it can take time, but time is an illusion too. And it's surrendering that attachment to time and enjoying the journey because we're only here for a blink of an eye. But people are so, impatient. We've been programmed to have instant gratification, and that nothing is will be lasting through instant gratification. It's through the building foundational steps. And sometimes that may take a year, 2 years, 10 years. It doesn't really matter. It's just continuing what you want to manifest, and maybe that changes. Maybe you realize like, oh, I don't think I want this anymore, or it's shifting into this thing instead, and letting that be okay, and also surrendering the attachment, because when we're gripping and we want something so bad, that's actually the block. And so it's surrendering that and letting the universe, letting reality give you maybe something that you didn't even imagine.
That's super interesting. And I want to ask you if, because you mentioned a few types of manifestors, and I'm not familiar with any type. So can you share with the audience if you know how many types there are, and also like what is maybe specific for each type?
Yeah, really good question. So in human design, there's 4 different aura types. One of the aura types is a manifester. Then there's the projector, then there's the generators and manifesting generators, and then there's the reflectors. So each type is created to manifest. And when you look at your chart, there's going to be 4 arrows. The bottom right or the bottom, the bottom right arrow in your chart is how you manifest. So whether it's pointing right or left, so right is a non-specific manifester and the left is a specific manifester. So with certain like teachings of like law of attraction or different types of manifesting ways, like some people will tell you to create a vision board and be as detailed as possible and break your goals up and take these specific steps. So yeah, that's going to work for specific manifestors. Absolutely. But if somebody is non-specific, it's not going to work for them as great because they're really, it's the forward thinking. It's the future vision of where the right arrow is pointing, and it's tapping into the feeling of what you want to manifest and surrendering that for the highest good. And so those are a couple different ways for people to manifest, and also following their type, their strategy, and inner authority and human design. Because as a projector, I can't tell you how much I try to initiate. And I was so like driven and wanting to be successful. And, I went to college and I was like, okay, I'm getting my bachelor's and then I'm going to do this. And I was initiating. And in my previous corporate career, I wanted it to be recognized. I wanted things to be a certain way. I wanted to be seen, but I wasn't waiting for the recognition. I wasn't waiting for the invitation of my insights and ideas. And so I was really, really bitter. I was super burnt out and I wasn't manifesting what I wanted to. And so when I pulled back and I got out of that career and I started learning more about human design and tuning into my soul and what I felt like was my true purpose, it took some time. It's really taken time to manifest this life that I'm so intent on continuing to create and expand in and give this intel and information to other people. But it's just been a very different way than what most people will say. Most people, like motivational speakers and influencers, will say, well, if you want something, go out and get it. Stop waiting. So 91% of the population is designed to wait. So that's incorrect. That's not really great advice. And I'm not saying like wait like a year, it's just waiting to respond to something or waiting for the right recognition and invitation.
So this is really good topic you're bringing up. I want to ask you, how do you approach, because we know that there are a lot of skeptics and that, for example, clairvoyance or spirituality, many concepts of spirituality, manifestation, they, just because of the nature of the thing, they cannot be experimented on and tested on and proven scientifically, just because there is so much subjectivity involved and it cannot, an experiment cannot be done. So how do you approach these skeptics or people, maybe clients that work with you that are skeptics? Do you have any, like a silver bullet that you will tell them that will change their mind, or you just don't even bother changing someone's mind? You just play your own drum and just, you're doing what you're doing, it works. It doesn't need to be proven because you know it works. So how do you approach this whole dilemma?
Yeah, that's a really good question too. So I'm not here to convince anybody to believe anything. If somebody's really resistant or they have a different belief system, that's great. If it works for them, like, everybody is different. And if somebody is open though, then I'll share, of course. Why not? But with skeptics and somebody who is very logical, and if they're open to a discussion, it's like science is an experiment. There's always new data and research that is proving something different. And so with skeptics and people who are just so like logical and research oriented, there is actually a lot of research that is done through these processes of healing, of meditation, of, people's clairvoyant abilities. Like researchers do track this as well. There is research out there. So, I mean, if somebody who really wants to look at those statistics, the research is out there as well. And if somebody is just not wanting to and really resistant and really aligned to their own beliefs of how things should be, then that's great too. That just means that, I'm not for them. I'm not being recognized or invited, and that's okay. I know I'm only for, my specific fractal, they say, in human design, to share my wisdom and intel and anything that I can help somebody through.
That's super helpful, that what you said, that anybody who just doesn't want to bother getting into this dilemma because there is no end, they can just focus on what they're doing. If they want to find the research, there is a research, but it seems that the majority of people has accepted that some things are okay to believe in, some things are not, and it's completely okay to just allow everybody to believe in whatever they want to believe. That you are not here to prove anybody wrong or to make anybody believe in something. So I
Yeah,
with you on this.
and it's like, how would you explain like a miracle to somebody who is so research oriented and by the book? You can't measure a miracle, and you can't measure certain things that just happen. Life is a mystery. We think things are going one way, or we have the research and the data and this and that, or even our intuition, but the universe, this consciousness, this great creator that knows way more than any of us will ever understand, comes in and surprises us. What would somebody say to that? You can't explain that. And so I'm not here to, try to convince anybody who doesn't believe in a higher power or the universe or something outside of themselves to believe different. I just think that something within them has been shut off a really long time ago. And whether they turn that back on this life or not, that's up to them.
Do you believe in reincarnation?
So I channel past lives. I'm an Akashic Records reader too. So I definitely believe that we have come to this planet and other planets and different lives more than once, for sure. I'm very logical too at the same time. So sometimes I'll be like, really? But you, I don't know. You just can't make this stuff up when it resonates with so many people and these patterns that are showing up in this life now. Like certain things that I have experienced that I was channeled to and brought to with certain past lives from myself, because I was having certain blockages. I'm like, nothing in this life really relates to my blockages that I'm going through right now. Like this has to be something from like a past life. And it showed up in that way, and several people who I didn't share this with communicated the same theme. So it's just, I mean, I know it's not something to get like attached to, and I really believe in like living now, because that's the most important space to be in, is the present moment. But when we can go back in time, and I totally believe this is possible, like using our consciousness and meditation and being a time traveler. Like you said, like everything is happening all at once, present, past, future. So we all have this capability to go back and see what happened and where was the lesson and where we get to heal, and then bring this into the now. So I mean, that's just my belief. I could be wrong. I don't know.
Okay, so can you give us a glimpse of what you're going to talk about on the Superhuman Summit?
So I'm going to talk about how to tap into your soul gifts, also using human design as well. And anything else that maybe will be brought into my field that people invite me to talk about, because that's usually how I do my talks or I do my offers, is really what people are wanting to know more of. So it's like, tapping more into your soul, how to manifest from that place, using your human design, and then offering a gift, of course.
That's super exciting. I really cannot wait for the summit. And like, I would love to hear your talk. And basically, you will work with people, which is so amazing. It's gonna be such a beautiful experience. Just your session. I'm not talking about the over 25 other sessions. So just your session is gonna be so powerful. And everything that we talked about today, all of this podcast is just a tiny glimpse and a hint to what your real superpower within the spirit is. And you have 3 more. So it's completely mind-blowing what you're going to experience on the summit. Again, if you want to get your 4-day pass, go to the link in the description or go to lifecoachcode.com/superhuman summit and get your 4-day pass. You will not regret it. The price is ridiculous. It's less than $40 and you get all of this value for that price. And of course, a lot of free gifts as you save. So basically not free for $40, but gifts that are free considering how much the price is. So for the end, I will just ask you, can you share with us maybe a technique or some practical tips people can maybe do in their own homes and maybe get a glimpse of what their soul gift is?
Yeah, definitely. So I always recommend meditation, like whether it's guided meditation or if you do it, if you can silence your mind on your own. But I always invite people to start off with guided meditation if meditation is not in their daily practice. And that really gets you into the place of listening to your soul, listening to your intuition, seeing something that you're going through from a different perspective and how to go in a way that can best support you, and whether it's like involving other people too in the situation. It always helps me when I'm really caught in the situation and I'm coming from a place of my mind and reacting. That usually leads me in a negative situation. But when I can pause, take a break, take some deep breaths, like taking 3 deep breaths every hour. I mean, it sounds so easy, but we really need that. We really need to ground with our breath throughout the day and just remind ourselves in our bodies, like we're here, right now. And if you can even commit to like 5 minutes a day, if you're just starting meditation, like I highly suggest that. And there's so many resources online. I have been doing free meditations. It hasn't been as consistent, but I try to do weekly free meditations for my community, just so we're meditating together, just so people can silence their mind and shed whatever like the focus we're doing together. Because when we do these things together, it's so much easier, it's so much healing. Finding those safe aligned spaces and people, like that's what I would invite the listeners to really start doing.
So let's sum up. Basically, you have a soul and you have an ego, and most of your life you are listening to your ego. You think that you are the ego, you identify with certain things, you believe that you need something to be enough. But this whole thing is an illusion. You are making a hole within yourself, not believing that you're already enough. And as many things as you try to fit in the hole just gets bigger. The only way the hole gets away if you just stop believing there is a hole in the first place, because the hole is an illusion. The only way illusions are gone when you realize they are illusions. So this is for step one. And also part of step one is regaining back your own authority. Stop stop putting the trust outside of you more than you put within you, so you can clearly listen to your own soul. And then we go to step two. As you say, you need to have meditation practice or taking 3 breaths every hour or whatever that is gonna help you just come back and slow down and just come back to yourself, to this present moment, so you can clearly listen. Just doing these things will help you listen to your soul more. And if people want to discover their soul's gifts, then we invite them to come to the Superhuman Summit, because there you're going to work with them and you're going to show them the clear steps, and you're going to go with these steps and help them find their soul's purpose. So thank you for being part of this podcast. Do you have anything to add for the end? And also let us know, if somebody wants to work with you, where can people find you?
So if anybody wants to work with me, they can go to my website. It's mytransfiguration.com. You can find me on social media through Lauren Wenzell or Transfiguration Coaching. And I would just like to give the listeners hope, and reassurance that everything is okay. That you, like what Dion was saying, like you're exactly where you are meant to be in this present moment. And if this feels good, if this feels like it's calling to you, like why not? Why not explore what's possible through these amazing speakers? I mean, I'm just so excited to be a part of this. And I know the experts, the professionals, the coaches, they're gonna give so much. And you're gonna walk away with like things that you couldn't even imagine. So I'm really excited. And thank you so much for putting this all together, for the invitation. I'm really blessed.
Thank you so much for being part of it. We are honored, and also thank you for being part of this podcast. Anyone that wants to grab their 4-day ticket, again, go to the link in the description or go to lifecoachcode.com/superhuman summit. You will not regret it, and it will change your life. Thank you so much, and see you in the next episode.